I am Professor Augustine A. Thomas. For the listeners of Safalam 55 plus Pala, I am giving yet another presentation of a Shakespearean drama. This time it is Julius Caesar, and this is the ninth in the series. The previous 8 presentations were on King Lear, Othello, Hamlet, Macbeth, Antony and Cleopatra, The Tempest, The Merchant of Venice, and As You Like It. I am privileged to note that thousands of people are following this and taking benefit. Recently, Safalam 55 plus Pala has started making these available in the YouTube as well. It is also gratifying to note that these have succeeded in inculcating a neo-Shakespeare culture in social circles, which is a much needed thing necessary for our cultural regeneration. Of all Shakespeare's dramas, Julius Caesar is one among the most talked about and widely read ones. The story of the assassination of Julius Caesar, which happened in 44 BC, is still one of perennial interest and appeal, maybe owing to its political content. This drama contains a number of lines which are often quoted. The funeral orations made first by Brutus and then by Mark Antony, and how Antony's manipulative oratorial techniques worked on the hostile Roman mob are subjects of study by millions of people across the globe. The drama Julius Caesar, which is presumed to have been written in 1601, holds a mirror unto the early periods of the Roman Empire. The personality of Julius Caesar as a conqueror still holds our attention and imagination, just like a colossus. That may be why the drama Julius Caesar has become so popular, perhaps more dearly received than the two other Roman plays, namely Antony and Cleopatra and Coriolanus. Apart from characters like Brutus, Cassius, and Casca on one side, characters like Octavius Caesar, Mark Antony, and Lepidus on the other side appear significantly in this play. The drama is, in fact, the confrontation between these two sides, which, after the murder of Julius Caesar, takes the form of a civil war in which Brutus's side is totally exterminated. Heated discussions have been going on among critics whether Caesar is the hero of the play or Brutus is the hero. No less a person than Voltaire went to the extent of saying that the play ought to have been called Marcus Brutus. Some others hold the opinion that Caesar is the titular hero and Brutus is the dramatic hero. At any rate, the purity of Brutus's patriotism and his readiness to die for his mother country are something rarely seen among politicians. It is Caesarism that he opposed and not Caesar. The drama is full of lines which are profusely quoted. Here are a few of them. 1. Beware the Ides of March. 2. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. 3. You and I, we have the falling sickness. 4. It was Greek to me. 5. When beggars die, there are no comets seen. The heavens themselves blaze forth the death of princes. 6. Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. 7. Yet tu brute, then fall Caesar. 8. Liberty, freedom, and enfranchisement. 9. How many ages hence shall this our lofty scene be acted over, in states unborn and accents yet unknown? 10. Not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. 11. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. 12. Great Caesar fell. Oh, what a fall was there, my countrymen. Then I and you and all of us fell down. 13. Here was a Caesar, when comes such another? 14. This was the most unkindest cut of all. 15. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. 16. This was the noblest Roman of them all. All the conspirators, save only he, did that they did in envy of great Caesar. He only, in a general honest thought and common good to all, made one of them. His life was gentle, and the elements so mixed in him that nature might stand up and say to all the world, this was a man. Now we will come to the drama proper. The opening scene in Julius Caesar strikes the keynote of the drama. The first scene occurs on the streets of Rome, where a crowd has gathered to celebrate Caesar's triumph over the sons of Pompey. It is a working day. Still, the commoners are seen taking a holiday, thronging the streets of Rome as if some festive event is happening. In 45 BC, Caesar defeated the sons of Pompey, the great Pompey the Great in Spain. Shakespeare uses the process of his triumph and coming back to Rome to depict how fickle-minded and inconstant a mob is. This same mob had previously assembled in these streets to see great Pompey passing through after some victory. The opening scene of a Shakespearean tragedy usually serves as a keynote of the play by revealing to us the forces which tend to produce the tragedy. It also gives the audience ample information to enable it to anticipate the ensuing events. Romeo and Juliet opens with a street fight. Julius Caesar and Coriolanus opened with a crowd in commotion. The value of the opening scene in Julius Caesar is twofold. It indicates that though Caesar has jealous enemies among the official classes, he is the darling of the crowd. It also illustrates the fickleness of the mob, a point which will be made clear on the occasion of Mark Antony's great speech. This day was one in which the feast of Lupercal was celebrated in Rome. The opening scene also summarizes recent events and shows Caesar's growing power. The crowd, which had once shown enormous adulation towards Pompey, has now forgotten him, and it hails the victory of Pompey's conqueror. Julius Caesar is a play about the dominance of Caesar's spirit. The opening scene manages to establish this dominance with a magnificent clarity. There is also a fear of pending doom for Caesar, though there is hope as well that Caesar the man can be killed, but not Caesar's spirit. Act 1 Scene 2 is very important. Here the theme of the play is rightly fixed. In this scene, we see Caesar, Antony, and Caesar's wife, Calphurnia, entering for the course because it is a feast of Lupercalia and there is going to be a grand procession. On the way, a soothsayer approaches Caesar and tells thus, "Beware the Ides of March." The Ides of March falls on 15th. Caesar simply dismisses the saying of the soothsayer, calling him just a dreamer. Brutus and Cassius were also in the procession. Now they stand aside and converse. Cassius asks Brutus why nowadays he is too serious. To this, Brutus replies thus, "Vexed I am of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which give some soil perhaps to my behaviors." Poor Brutus, with himself at war, forgets the shows of love to other men. Now they hear a big shouting from the people, and they suspect that the people are choosing Caesar as their king. Brutus tells Cassius that he will never like such a thing, although he loves Caesar well. More than he fears death, he loves the name of honor. Cassius clutches at the word honor and adds that honor is the subject of his story. Cassius gives a detailed explanation of how it is. It is thus: "I was born free as Caesar, so were you. We both have fed as well, and we can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once, upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, 'Darest thou, Cassius, now leap in with me into this angry flood and swim to yonder point?' Upon the word, accoutred as I was, I plunged in and bade him follow. So indeed he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet it with lusty sinews, throwing it aside and stemming it with hearts of controversy. But ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, 'Help me, Cassius, or I sink!' I, as Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulder the old Anchises bear, so from the waves of Tiber did I, the tired Caesar. And this man is now become a god, and Cassius is a wretched creature and must bend his body if Caesar carelessly but not on him. Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves. And at some time are we men at some time are master of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. To this request of Cassius, Brutus gives a studied answer. It is thus: for this present I would not, so with love I might entreat you, be any further moved. What you have said I will consider. Till then, my noble friend, chew upon this. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome under these hard conditions, as this time is like to lay upon us. Now that the feast of Lupercalia is finished, they see Caesar and his train coming back, and Caesar sees Cassius standing on the side. Thereupon he expresses to Antony his opinion about Cassius. It is thus: he reads much, he is a great observer, and he looks quiet through the deeds of men. He loves no place as thou dost, Antony. He hears no music. Seldom he smiles, and smiles in such a sort as if he mocked himself. Such men are very dangerous. Come on my right hand, for this ear is deaf, and tell me truly what thou thinkest of him. Brutus and Cassius pluck Casca by the sleeve and ask him to tell them what all happened in Caesar's majestic procession. Please listen to their conversation. Casca: why? There was a crown offered him, and being offered him, he put it by with the back of his hand, thus, and then the people fell a shouting. Brutus: what was the second noise for? Casca: why for that too? Cassius: they shouted thrice. What was the last cry for? Casca: why for that too? Brutus: was the crown offered him thrice? Casca: hey, Mary, was it? And he put it by thrice, every time gentler than the other. And at every putting by, mine honest neighbor shouted. Cassius: who offered him the crown? Casca: why, Antony? Casca also reports that right in the marketplace, Caesar fainted and fell down, for Caesar was long suffering from epileptic fits. Hearing this, Brutus speaks thus: it is very like he hath the falling sickness. Cassius modifies the statement of Brutus and adds thus: no, Caesar hath it not, but you and I, and honest Casca, we have the falling sickness. Act 1, Scene 3 is set in the background of thunder and lightning. Enter Casca and Cicero the senator meeting. Casca asked Cicero a question. It is thus: Are you not moved when all the sway of earth shakes like a thing uniform? Oh, Cicero, I have seen tempests when the scalding winds have rived the knotty oaks, and I have seen the ambitious ocean swell and rage and foam to be exalted with the threatening clouds. But never till tonight, never till now, did I go through a tempest dropping fire. Either there is a civil strife in heaven, or else the world, too saucy with the gods, incenses them to send destruction. Casca and Cicero are informed that on the following day Caesar is coming to the capital. By this time, Cassius also reaches there. Casca shares with them the information he has received. It is thus: they say the senators tomorrow mean to establish Caesar as a king, and he shall wear his crown by sea and land in every place, save here in Italy. Cassius instantly reacts to it thus: I know where I will bear this dagger then. Cassius from the bondage will deliver Cassius. Why should Caesar be a tyrant? He sees the Romans are but sheep. All the three part after taking a decision to meet that evening in Pompey's porch, to thrash out a course of action for future. Further, they all want Brutus to lead this counter move. Casca explains the reason thus: Oh, he sits high in all the people's hearts, and that which would appear offense in us, his countenance, like richest alchemy, will change to virtue and to worthiness. Act 2, Scene 1 pictures the hatching of the conspiracy to do away with Caesar. The truth is that ever since Cassius first whetted the thoughts of Brutus against Caesar, he has not slept. And the period between his thinking and the action seems to drag like a phantasma or a hideous dream. On the night of 14th of March BC 44, that is the day previous to the Ides of March, the conspirators Cassius, Casca, Decius Brutus, Cinna, Metellus Cimber, and Trebonius secretively reach the house of Brutus. They converse in detail. Cassius proposes that on the following day, that is 15th of March, they should assassinate Caesar, and also his most ardent follower, Mark Antony. To this suggestion, Brutus replies thus: Our course will seem too bloody, Caius Cassius. Let us be sacrifices, but not butchers, Caius. We will all stand up against the spirit of Caesar, and in the spirit of man there is no blood. And gentle friends, let us kill him boldly, but not wrathfully. Let us carve him as a dish fit for the gods, not hew him as a carcass fit for hounds. We shall be called purgers, not murderers. And for Mark Antony, think not of him, for he can do no more than Caesar's arm when Caesar's head is off. Differing from this opinion, Cassius speaks thus: Yet I fear him, for in the ingrafted love he bears to Caesar. When the others leave, Portia approaches Brutus. The all too wearied Portia asks her husband what monstrous thing is plaguing his mind, because for some time he is in musing and sighing with his arms across. It does not allow him either to eat or to talk or to sleep. Brutus summarily evades her question by telling that he is not well in health. Act 2, Scene 2 is set in Caesar's house. It is near daybreak. Thunder and lightning happen. Caesar enters in his nightgown. He wends out into a soliloquy. It is thus: Nor heaven nor earth have been at peace tonight. Thrice hath Calphurnia in her sleep cried out, Help, ho! They murder Caesar. After a while, Calphurnia enters. Please listen to their conversation. Calphurnia: What mean you, Caesar? Think you to walk forth? You shall not stir out of your house today. Caesar: Caesar shall forth. The things that threatened me never looked but on my back. When they shall see the face of Caesar, they are vanished. Caesar shall go forth, for these predictions are to the world in general as to Caesar. Calphurnia: When beggars die, there are no comets seen. The heavens themselves blaze forth the death of princes. Caesar: Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. Here we see an overconfident, defiant, and rather incorrigible Caesar. He has a self-assurance that he is an extraordinary creation, and hence his doom. In Act 2, Scene 3, we see Artemidorus, who is a teacher of rhetoric, trying to warn Caesar about a conspiracy being hatched against him, about which he has already got some sure clues. He has prepared a letter regarding this, and he decides to take a position on the way to Capitol so that he can hand over the same, if at all he gets a chance. Artemidorus reads the letter. It is thus: Caesar, beware of Brutus. Take heed of Cassius. Come not near Casca. Have an eye to Cinna. Trust not Trebonius. Mark well Metellus Cimber. Decius Brutus loves thee not. Thou hast wronged Caius Ligarius. There is but one mind in all these men, and it is bent against Caesar. If thou beest not immortal, look about you. Security gives way to conspiracy. The mighty gods defend thee, thy lover, Artemidorus. Act 3, Scene 1 is the one in which depicts the assassination. The scene is laid before the Capitol, where the Senate assembles. Enter Caesar, Brutus, Cassius, Casca, Decius Brutus, Metellus, Trebonius, Cinna, Antony, Lepidus, Popilius, Publius, and the soothsayer. Caesar states that the Ides of March are come. Therefore he goes up to the Senate house, the rest following. People are going on giving petitions to him regarding their needs. Now Metellus Cimber kneels before Caesar and petitions that the order of banishment of his brother Publius Cimber from Rome be repealed. Refusing to redress Cimber's grievance, Caesar speaks thus: Thy brother by decree is banished. If thou dost bend and pray and fawn for him, I spurn thee like a cur out of my way. No, Caesar doth not wrong, nor without cause will he be satisfied. Intervening in the issue, Brutus and Cassius also plead strongly for Publius Cimber's repeal. To them Caesar explains thus: I am constant as the northern star, of whose true fixed and resting quality there is no fellow in the firmament. Let me a little show it even in this, that I was constant, Cimber should be banished, and constant do remain to keep him so. To know what happens next, follow the text as written by Shakespeare himself. Cinna, O Caesar, Caesar, hence wilt thou lift up Olympus? Decius Brutus, great Caesar, Caesar, doth not Brutus bootless kneel? Casca, speaks hands for me. Casca stabs Caesar in the neck. He is then stabbed by several other conspirators and last by Marcus Brutus. Caesar, yet tu, Brute, then fall. Caesar dies. Cinna, liberty, freedom, tyranny is dead. Run hence, proclaim, cry it about the streets. Cassius, some to the common pulpits and cry out liberty, freedom, and enfranchisement. Brutus, people and senators, be not affrighted. Fly not, stand still, ambition's debt is paid. Now Cassius enquires to Trebonius where Mark Antony is. To this Trebonius answers thus: Flood to his house, amazed. Men, wives, and children stare. Cry out and run, as it were doomsday. Then Brutus gives an exhortation to the people around. It is thus: Stoop, Romans, stoop, and let us bathe our hands in Caesar's blood up to the elbows, and besmear our swords. Then walk we forth even to the marketplace, and waving our red weapons over our heads, let us all cry peace, freedom, and liberty. To this Cassius adds a classic sentence which remains forever and ever relevant to all the peoples of the world. It is thus: Stoop then and wash. How many ages hence shall this our lofty sin be acted over in states unborn and accents yet unknown? Mark Antony's servant reaches there now, requesting Brutus to give permission to Antony to arrive there. And Brutus gives permission for Antony to reach there. Hearing this, Cassius intervenes. Cassius is always much more far-sighted and intuitive than Brutus. Cassius tells thus, I wish we may, but that I have a mind, yet have I a mind that fears him much, and my misgiving still falls shrewdly to the purpose. Instantly, Antony is seen arriving there. Seeing Caesar's dead body, Antony exclaims thus, O mighty Caesar, dost thou lie so low? Are all thy conquests, glories, triumphs, spoils shrunk to this little measure? Fare thee well. Now that his dearest master is no more, Antony expresses a wish to die then and there, and he prefers to be put to death by Brutus himself, the choicest master spirit of that age. To this request, Brutus replies thus, O Antony, beg not your death of us, though now we must appear bloody and cruel. Our hearts you see not, they are pitiful. And pity to the general wrong of Rome. For your part, to you our swords have leaden points, Mark Antony. Please listen to the coming conversation in which Antony, Brutus and Cassius are involved. Antony, friends am I with you all and love you all, upon this hope that you shall give me reasons why and wherein Caesar was dangerous. That is all I seek, and am moreover suitor that I may produce his body to the marketplace, and in the pulpit, as becomes a friend, speak in the order of his funeral. Brutus, you shall, Mark Antony. Cassius, Brutus, a word with you. Aside to Brutus, you know not what you do. Do not consent that Antony speak in his funeral. Know you how much the people may be moved by that which he will utter. Brutus, by your pardon, I will myself into the pulpit first and show the reason of our Caesar's death. Cassius, I know not what may fall. I like it not. Now, Brutus permits Antony to take Caesar's body to the place where the funeral orations are to be delivered. He also strictly warns that Antony should not blame any one of them. Instead, he shall speak only about the good qualities of Caesar, and that only. In such situations, we see a lack of foresight on the part of Brutus. He is too straightforward to understand the twists and turns of the human personality. Whereas, by contrast, Cassius can very well read into what is going to happen. But alas, Cassius's warnings fall on deaf ears only. Act 3, Scene 2 is a world famous one. Here we see the delivery of the funeral orations. First by Marcus Brutus and then by Mark Antony. And the instantaneous responses and reactions of the Roman mob.